This video is brought to you by Nordcurrent Labs for Eriksholm, The Stolen Dream, a new isometric narrative-driven stealth game set in the stunning town of the same name. Hannah's brother has gone missing, and her search for him sets off a chain of catastrophic events that will not only alter their lives, but also the destiny of the entire city. Switch between 3 unique characters and utilize their unique abilities to access new areas, overcome various challenges, and outsmart your enemies through the vibrant streets of Eriksholm, a sprawling Nordic city inspired by the elegance and grit of early 1900s Scandinavia. And if you've ever lost someone in a busy IKEA during a holiday weekend, then you know the sense of urgency and terror, just like me trying to pronounce Myglasvinge. Myglasvinge. It's a duvet cover. Eriksholm, The Stolen Dream is available now on PC, Steam, and Epic Games Store, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S and X.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Windbreakers podcast. Just the 2 Windbreakers this week.
Plus dog.
Jay's and dog. Let's say 2 and a quarter. Because Jay's away. We've all been staggering our holidays out.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that made more sense than for all of us just to take a full week off?
I don't know. I guess it feels more like watering down the formula rather than flat out stemming the flow for a week,
breaking the bone for a week. But we're here. I'm happy to be back. And before everyone asks, the people were saying that they assumed I was back because I forced this topic. You actually recommended this topic last week, but kicked it to this week because Jay and Nick are not Kojima fans or are knowledgeable on Kojima.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about old Kojima after playing Death Stranding 2, and you have a lot to say about Death Stranding 2. A lot of which you put in your video that went up today.
Yeah, video went up this morning. It's very non-spoilery because I'm still relatively early in the game. And yeah, today's chat will be just kind of about Kojima in general because he's a strange, fascinating, bizarre man in the world of video games.
He's fascinating, but, you know, at the same time, I worry about him sometimes.
When did you like a lot of people, was Metal Gear Solid 1 your first introduction into Kojima's world?
Oh yes, like that's the same true of everyone, I guess. I had a PlayStation 1. I played Metal Gear Solid 1. It was my first exposure to Kojima's world, and I was like, "Geez, these guys bang on a lot."
Did you ever go back and play like Metal Gear 1 or 2 or Police Knots or Snatcher or any of his pre Metal Gear Solid games?
I've never played any of. I've watched videos of a few of them. I watched like a Let's Play of Snatcher, and he's always been a man to sort of push the medium, and he's always enjoyed hitting the similar beats with each of his works.
Yeah, it's kind of wild if you go back to the original Metal Gear because there are so many elements of it that he just ended up using and sort of iterating upon in Metal Gear Solid and further down the road. Like, it is kind of crazy how fully formed his idea for Metal Gear Solid feels even in the top-down 2D approach of the original games.
And yet there's still some teething issues going on with him as a game designer. I think it was it Metal Gear 1 or 2 where you have one of the puzzles is that you have to acquire an owl and get the owl to hoot outside a base, thus fooling the guard into thinking it's nighttime and that he can go off shift.
Hey, but to be fair, you should love that because that is like classic adventure game bullshit right there. Like, that is something that would be in like a Sierra or LucasArts game where you'd be like, why did you put this puzzle in the game?
I hate adventure game bullshit. That's why I went off adventure games.
Yeah, that is complete nonsense. But I think he's fascinating because there's not many. You know, this is a relatively young medium compared to obviously movies and literature and stuff. And there's just not many people who've been doing it consistently since the 80s or since the 90s, for that matter.
It's a fact I'm very fond of repeating that Metal Gear is pretty much the only franchise that's still keeping an ongoing story going that began in like the 8-bit era.
Sure. Yeah, like Mario and
Like,
Zelda are kind of nonsense, and then Dragon
yeah,
Quest and Final Fantasy just do their own things.
yes, it's still like the earliest Metal Gear games are still in canon. It's
Mhm.
still a consistent continuity, right up
Yeah.
to fucking Phantom Pain,
Yeah.
which was in which you play as the main villain of the first Metal Gear game. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it is kind of wild. It's a while for any story to have that continuity since the 80s.
I know.
Yeah, like you don't even get that a lot. Like everything, every comic has rebooted since then. Every
Yeah.
you know, every all these like I don't know. I guess Star Wars still does it, but even that's a little shaky.
Tomb Raider's rebooted. Final
Yeah,
Fantasy reboots every game.
yeah,
Metal, like fucking Mirror's Edge, rebooted after one fucking game.
yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing this has compared to all of those other series is it had. I mean, I guess had until the divorce 10 years ago, and like a true auteur at the center, right? Which we
He's,
just don't get a lot of, especially in the AAA space in games.
I know, he certainly is an auteur. And the one thing everyone knows about Hideo Kojima games is that they're complete fucking nonsense. They're bonkers. They've only been getting more bonkers over time. Metal Gear Solid was still somewhat grounded in reality by Kojima standards, but then, everyone sort of responded well to the bonkers, and now we sort of expect the bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, Metal Gear Solid 4, Death Stranding 1, and now Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
And I worry
Well,
that. I worry that he's always been self-indulgent. And I think the self-indulgence has sort of been going a bit too far with, especially with the latter of his games.
okay.
I mean, if you're mates with a celebrity and you want to put a cameo of your friend in your game, that's all it should be, a cameo. I think when you are basing entire major characters' appearances off of your celebrity mates, well, and they're not because they're like serious actors, but because they're really famous. Like,
Or because you like
you,
Mad Max and you
yeah,
like the movie Drive. Yeah.
yeah, and just Guillermo del Toro, fucking Nicholas Winding Refn,
Yeah.
fucking George Miller, just as characters in the game. I think at that point, it's sort of distracting from whatever the fucking premise of those games is supposed to be. He's funny. There's a cameo from a fucking VTuber in Death Stranding too. Did you know that?
I saw some of it beforehand. I have not gotten there. No, but I mean, like we have the picture up there right now. We had Conan O'Brien in
Yeah,
in the first game.
and I guess I just worry that he's run out of stories to tell. Now it's just celebrity friends and weirdness.
See, if if I was just seeing those out of context, I would agree with you. But the fact that there is so much kind of truth and honesty in the weirdness. Like I don't know if you in Death Stranding 2 when you're and this is not a spoiler because you could do this like 2 hours into the game. You're sitting on your ship and you get a copy of Moby Dick and it's sitting next to you. And Moby Dick is clearly a book he's been fascinated with for a long time. There's a ton of Moby Dick.
Oh, geez, has that come across?
In Metal Gear Solid 5.
Did that very subtly come across in Metal Gear Solid 5 when the main character refers to himself as Ishmael, another character refers to himself as Ahab, and a motherfucking burning whale flies across the sky at the start of the game? Did that come across?
Well, I like how if it wasn't subtle enough there, at this point you read Moby Dick and Dalman, your companion, says, the ship, it's a lot like Kojima Productions. Oh, you don't know Kojima Productions? And so he's talking like he is so very clearly obsessed with this story because it's about a dude who had something taken from him and became fucking obsessed with trying to get it back and trying to kind of like rectify a wrong and trying to get back to where he was before. And to me, that's just this is just I don't know if he goes to therapy, but it feels like these games are his therapy from 10 years ago of sort of having his baby dragged away from him in Konami with Metal Gear and him working through some shit over his past couple games.
That illustrates that Kojima probably only has a relatively surface level understanding of Moby Dick. I kind of doubt he's actually read it. He knows it like the premise the same way most people vaguely know the premise. There's like a million different themes running through Moby Dick. It's you could argue just as like credibly, it's about man versus nature.
Sure.
It's just a fairly dry description of like nautical behavior in like the period.
But you get all those things in the game as well. Man versus nature. Death Stranding is so much man versus nature, and
True.
like
I mean,
what is your ship called? The Magellan is very much like you're even doing little dips into the goop. It very much feels like a whaling ship.
well, all right. Let me put my cards on the table. I find it hard to believe that anyone who has actually read Moby Dick would have any actual affection for Moby Dick.
Sure. Sure. Hey, maybe the Japanese translations are different than the English ones. We don't
Well,
know.
there you go. It could be like
Um,
incredibly well translated and probably very well edited as well.
Oh yeah. One thing I always take issue with are when people say all he does is make movies.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's been like a fan of movies since he was a kid. He's obsessed with movies. He's a prolific poster online. He never talks about video games he's playing. I literally don't know if he plays video games that aren't his own video game, but he watches every fucking movie.
Right. I think it's one of those Yu Suzuki situations.
Yeah. But I do think he also has like,
I mean, we know he watches VTubers.
he clearly watches VTubers. He loves VTubers. I mean, he's got like kids, so maybe his kids got him into that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's also obsessed with the idea of play. Like I think ever since the original Metal Gear games, like his games have playful elements in them that like push interactive boundaries way further than most other AAA games do. Like the one thing his games are not the way that the term walking simulator has become pejorative. His games aren't that, even though Death Stranding might be the most literal walking simulator because he's boiled down the mechanics of literally taking steps from point A to point B into a relatively complex system of mechanics and levers and pulleys and everything. But I'm as amazed by the ways he pushes the actual interactive portion of games in the same way that he does the narrative ones.
I think he's a proven game designer. I mean, we wouldn't let him keep making games if he wasn't. I think he's always, as you say, approached video games with new perspectives, much like a Yu Suzuki. And in that, the fact that he probably doesn't play games is how he manages to take this revolutionary approach. With that comes a certain amount of stumbling. I think Death Stranding has a very solid core mechanic. The simple act of getting to places that no one really considered before. I think a lot of the moment-to-moment game design is kind of dog shit. I think he's got a real interface problem. I think he has a sort of a blind spot for creating good interfaces.
What did you think of the kind of the Metal Gear Solid thing of holding down a button and then having your kind of items appear in like the corner and cycling through? Like it feels very different from any other game. I think it's cumbersome. Personally.
I wasn't a huge fan. It's like the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom problem where you have to stop and scroll through a bar for like 3 miles to get to the thing you want. I always think his basic controls make it weirdly unnecessarily difficult to just do the basic thing like point a gun at something and shoot it.
Yeah. He seems like a guy who is making games in spite of the the literal device we use to interact with them. Like and that being said, he's done interesting things with controller of Michael Mantis telling us to put down the controller and him using his telekinesis to like move it and shake and stuff. Like that's neat. Having the baby cry in our controller on the PS5 and you have to kind of like shake it a little bit. And like that's as much as that could be a pain in the ass that you turn off after an hour. At the very least, it feels like he's thinking about it in a way differently than a lot of other people. Although you would probably hate that because if you start having to think about your controller as a thing in your hands,
no, that goes way back. He's been experimenting with the format since the beginning. In Snatcher, there's a bit where he deliberately reduces the volume of everything in the game, and then the game tells you better turn the volume on your TV up. And he does that, but the 5 minutes later, that an explosion can go off at full volume and like completely blow you off your chair.
For better or worse, it seems like I feel like the person I would compare him to most in Hollywood is M. Night Shyamalan, to where he made it big and seemingly has no one to tell him no, or no one to kind of like rein back those ideas. And maybe that's where part of the Konami fallout happened. Maybe people started telling him no too much, but
but you don't want to say you don't want to say no to an auteur, because then they might stop doing really interesting stuff that gives us shit to talk about.
And that's the tricky thing is like I feel like any qualms we have with him are things I'm willing to look past, because he does those come from what we want in AAA games, which is for them to feel like they have some sort of pulse to them. And that they're not just a corporate mandated checklist of you got to do these things because these are the hot new things, and then we can put it out and we can make our money and microtransactions afterwards and all that bullshit. I don't know. It feels like he is. We want more creators like him than the kind of the faceless 1,000-person teams who make your standard sandbox games.
At the same time, there are a lot of recurring issues with Hideo Kojima's writing that I have, and that he doesn't seem to be improving upon, which is something that can happen when you're in a sort of George Lucas situation where nobody says no to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for one thing, you said he seems like he watches a lot of movies. Yep. For me, he seems like someone who watches a lot of movies in place of actually interacting with other human beings.
Sure. I would agree with that. Yeah.
And my first issue with him is that, firstly, he doesn't really know how to convey a consistent emotional tone, which can be very jarring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a thing right at the beginning of Death Stranding 2 that actually made me well up, because it was so emotionally affecting. I'm not going to spoil what it is.
Sure.
Though sometimes I feel like Kojima games are kind of spoiler proof. I mean, you say it's kind of like Suda 5-1 in that respect. At the end of Killer 7, you shoot a gimp in the face while dressed in a suit that's different to the suit you've been wearing in the rest of the game. And I can tell you that, and that wouldn't mean shit to you.
Yeah. But in this, I know what you're getting at is a thing happens that's really emotional, and then it feels like moments later you have you're introduced to your little like marionette buddy who moves at moves at 10 frames per second, and so feels different than everything else.
Hey, I can tell you're sad. Why don't you join my ragtag crew of misfits? And then they're all being introduced really clunkily. And that's the other thing. The other problem is that he can't write realistic dialogue. Like, none of his characters really converse or spar in the way good dialogue does. Most of them is just clunkily explaining things at each other.
I think a lot of his strength in dialogue is monologues. I think he can write
thank
interesting
goodness
monologues.
For that, because that's all he fucking writes.
But it is when, I just had last night when I got back into the game in episode 7, I had like an interaction between Sam and Tomorrow. I guess character names are also another thing. Maybe Sam and Tomorrow, who's played by Elle Fanning, where it did seem like both of them are like, for as much as like he clearly does motion capture and these look like Norman Reedus and Elle Fanning, it doesn't seem like two human beings who are occupying the same space at all.
No, they're just, especially Norman Reedus' character, all he does is just sort of grunt while other people explain things at him.
He's a grunt. He's a porter. Porters like to grunt.
Yeah, there you go. He's a grunter.
Yeah. Did you, going back to Metal Gear, where did your sort of arc with the series? Like, what is 3 your standout? Like, can you find things in all 4 of them? Do you think he kind of lost the plot at a certain point?
I think I never played 3. That's something I keep saying. Yeah. I will definitely be playing the remake, but I played through 1, and it was very memorable. I played through 2, which I enjoyed, but I think could have benefited from a bit of a pruning. As if I seem to remember thinking even at the time. And by the end, it just stops making sense altogether, and you're just sort of rolling with it.
Yeah. But he introduced us to memes. And medic information.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, over the course of like a 2-hour monologue, he introduced us to a whole bunch of things. So at least something was going to hit.
Does it feel like a broken clock is right twice a day? Because it's like, well, he threw enough things at the wall, and some of it really stuck. Yeah.
There you go. And Metal Gear Solid 4, I guess, I wouldn't have made Solid Snake an old man with a horn mustache, but I ran with it.
Yeah.
I was actually quite invested in the Solid Snake Otacon relationship as it developed over the course of the series.
Yeah, talking about, we talk about games that have or series that have like a long running canon. That is like a relationship that has been running for like, there is no other, like they're probably the longest running video game couple.
I know,
for
it's
lack of a
cool
better
that
term. Yeah.
it's cool that you have like the badass soldier dude who treats like the nerdy tech guy as an equal.
Yeah, he never seems like he's demeaning to him. Like, and
Yeah.
Otacon doesn't seem like, a little bit, I guess maybe when he pisses himself in the locker, but he doesn't seem like the butt of the joke very often.
No. Like he pisses himself because, he's not used to being in like active combat scenarios. That's
and seeing a invisible ninja murder a bunch of people in front of him.
Yeah. But, he does his job.
Yeah.
And with the rest of it, Metal Gear Solid 4, again, towards the end, I mean, what can you say about a game in which the established female love interest ends the game by marrying the joke character? Who turns out to be an anime pretty boy.
Who keeps, and is found oftentimes naked or having diarrhea in the middle of a battlefield.
I think what we're learning from this discussion is that Hideo Kojima has this thing about being very unjudgmental about bodily fluids.
Yeah. I mean, in almost every game you could piss.
Yeah.
Or you can get pissed on. Metal Gear Solid 2, you can get pissed on by a guard. And in Death Stranding, you can relieve yourself wherever you want.
Yeah, you can piss on the ghosts and then throw grenades made out of your shit.
And then I guess we went into Metal Gear Solid 4 is interesting because it is I would argue that is like him at his most like hedonistic, in terms of him being like, I have 5 different ideas for what I want the next Metal Gear to be, and I will make all 5 of those games in the 5 chapters of this game. And like, I want my my European sepia tone noir. Okay, I'm going to do that one. And then I want my like lush, colorful African battlefield, and I'm going to make that game. And then I want my gritty Afghanistan stand-in War on Terror segment, and I'll do that.
Yeah, and I liked Peace Walker's like left turn into strategic gameplay. I think like stealing enemies off the battlefield was a really unique and interesting mechanic that he continued in Phantom Pain, of course, and I did enjoy that.
Peace Walker, I always think someone in a meeting said, because I guess Konami also made Monster Rancher, but Konami wanted a Pokemon-like. And was like, Kojima, do you have any ideas for a Pokemon-like? And he's like, let's see what I can do. I will literally Fulton men off the battlefield.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated Metal Gear Solid games, but there's always been so much to criticize. I think I always appreciate Kojima in the broad sense, but I have very little time for his moment-to-moment approach. In like pretty much everything he does. Like the moment-to-moment gameplay, the interfacing is terrible, his dialogue is awful, his character moments are awkward. But somehow, from the broad perspective, it works in the end. And fuck knows how he pulls it off.
Yeah. And he has been, which I guess a lot of, you see the same thing in Nintendo and a lot of Japanese companies, but he's been working with a similar core of people for an extremely long time. So for whatever he is, he's not one of those, like, he doesn't seem like he's whipping his employees and driving people away to other studios. Like, it seems like people like working for him.
I mean, you got to assume that fucking Guillermo del Toro isn't going to cameo in any game unless he really likes the guy asking him.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, the sheer fact that he's got so many big name celebrity friends indicates that he's got to be a really personable dude.
I do find it fascinating, though, that none of those random cameos in the game are from developers, like video game developers. They are all from
that's interesting, isn't it?
And like, and I don't know if he's like close with I don't know like what his relationship was like, if he had one with like Shinji Mikami or Kamiya or anyone. Like I can't imagine him and Miyamoto are pals. They seem like they are so like diametrically
No,
opposed in terms of kind of their
he doesn't.
worldviews even.
Yeah, no, you've never seen him like collab with other big name game developers the way Suda 5-1 has.
Yeah, and those in the way when the rare times it did happen, it felt like it was almost kind of forced with like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where I think that was originally he was going to be leading that game, and then Kamiya and Platinum came in, and it was kind of like, well, okay, I'll just sit back here and kind of give you some words of wisdom if I need them.
I guess with neither of us having met the guy, we'll never know.
I've met him. I've met him a couple times. I can't say I've ever had I had one dinner with him where there was like 10 of us at the dinner, and
hush my mouth.
The only things I know about him is he does speak incredibly fluent English. He just tends to not speak it. I think a lot of Japanese developers are like Miyamoto. I know is fluent in English, but a lot of them just don't like speaking it kind of in public. But
no, I interviewed Suda 5-1 through a translator, but even through the translator, I could tell he was a really nice guy, and we got on.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've also been interested in him. His like the press leading up to Death Stranding 2, him speaking about his own kind of mortality in a way that you just don't see a lot in video games. And maybe it's because, again, the people who were making games in the 80s and 90s are now getting to that age. Like you see it in movies all the time where people like Scorsese and Spielberg are making their movies, or they're reflecting on death and legacy and their own personal mortality. But he seems like one of the first game developers who's really starting to do that. And I think through both Death Stranding games you could see that, and you could even see it like 10 years ago, 15 years ago with Old Snake and everything.
Oh yes, do you think coming to the end of one's life might have been a theme in MGS4? Yes.
Who's to say? Who's to say? Yeah, I don't know. He one thing I kind of wish is that he took in which, I don't know, maybe he does and we just don't know it. Maybe he just doesn't flaunt it, but more of kind of like a mentor role, like more of a like it would be cool to see what a Kojima Productions game directed by a smaller team of younger folks would look like. And he's even talked about how he doesn't think he has that many games left in him, and he doesn't want the studio after he dies to shut down or anything, or to feel like they have to keep making the kinds of games he would make. He wants them to kind of, just the way he was inspired by people growing up, he wants them to be inspired by him and then go do their own shit with that inspiration, which I found like pretty poignant when he was giving some of those interviews earlier this year.
I guess I find it hard to picture him mentoring anyone. Maybe because he, like, as I say, his writing comes across as a little emotionally immature.
Sure. And there's plenty of creatives who aren't, just because you are an incredibly creative person in one field, it doesn't mean you are good at mentoring, and vice versa.
No.
Like those are incredibly different skills. I would
Quite.
say. He's also had there's a handful of games he's produced and not directed. Like a majority, like every one of those games we've talked about so far, he's directed all those Metal Gear games. But Zone of the Enders, he had his name on, which was clearly kind of his fascination with mecha growing up. And so he had
just like in his Japanese animes.
Just like his Japanese animes, which I'm shocked that a guy who centered his long-running series on giant war machines was a fan of mecha. And then always the one game I always go, Boktai, which was the Game Boy Advance game where it had a solar sensor in the cartridge, and you were a vampire hunter, and you needed to gain solar energy by literally having that cartridge out in the sun to like absorb solar energy that you could fight vampires with. So if you stayed inside and played in the dark, you could beat the game, but it was ostensibly hard mode. And then
imagine if you were like an Antarctic surveyor and you brought like one game with your GBA to the like research facility, and you were like, oh Jesus Christ.
Then you had your 30 days a night, and you could never beat any of these vampires. But yeah, he seems like a guy who thinks about games in, even if it's not the most cognizant way, he thinks about games outside of the box. Ironically, because he puts his main character inside of a box very often. And then his two upcoming projects, he has a thing called OD with Xbox that we assume is still in development and wasn't canceled or unfunded after the recent Xbox layoffs. But that is his project alongside Jordan Peele. And literally all we know about it is this short teaser that Eric is playing, and it's just a handful of actors reciting the same lines and then looking very scared at some point. So we have no idea what this thing is. I feel like they are not using the word game for it. This is the thing that they are using, the like quote unquote interactive experience.
Seems a bit arty.
Yeah. And then he said with PlayStation, he's making a thing called Fizzant, which is in all
it's like physics, but then again, it isn't.
But Fizzant. So it's like him doing tactical espionage action again, which I feel like this game, Death Stranding 2, also has quite a bit of.
I don't know why it always leads out to me, but it's always like been very obvious to me that the acronym for tactical espionage action is T.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, that's first off, that's the Brit in you. I think that's part of it. Why it's leaping out at you.
I don't drink tea. You know that.
No, but I mean, it's in your DNA, right? It's got to be flowing through you. Those little baggies. It's passed down like genetic information, like in like with liquid and solid snake.
I mean, it comes from Asia. Tea, that is.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like a British thing, right?
Maybe.
Like that's one of the things you associate.
Well, yes.
Who do you think his closest analogs are in games?
Well, it's difficult to say that anything's Kojima like. I mean, even Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance struggled to bring across that Kojima vibe. And what's always made his work unique, I've always thought, is that it's all like over the top nonsense, but also you can tell that it makes sense to him.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, you could tell that they were doing over the top nonsense, but they were sort of doing it with a tongue-in-cheek, self-aware kind of vibe.
Sure.
As if to say, "Hey, haha, we know this doesn't make sense. Let's have fun with it." But Kojima's like, "No, this all makes perfect sense, and we must be very serious as we deliver the very stupid things."
Yeah, it did feel like
there's anyone really who can pull off that same vibe.
I think maybe that's why I like him so much, is because he very much feels like one of a kind.
Yeah.
Where so many games you can kind of look at and just see like it's developed by like a smear. And a lot of that is because of the people at the top forcing it to feel like a smear. I like the idea that his games, no matter the budget, feel like they have a thumbprint on them. And I feel like games as a whole would be better if they all felt like they had a thumbprint on them, especially if all those thumbprints were different, so that you can get a little bit of everything.
He's like, if you want to talk analogs, no one in video games, but in movies, maybe like Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. Where he very much felt like he was able to get his vision across a finish line, no matter how strange that vision might have been.
Yeah. Someone whose vision was always taken very, very seriously somehow.
Yeah. I almost wish he was more like Stanley Kubrick in that every movie Kubrick made felt like it was in a different genre. As much as I love Metal Gear Solid, I wonder what a Kojima library would look like if instead of making sequels, every game was something different.
Yes. What if we said no bodily fluids in this one? Let's see how you do with that parameter.
I think he would just retire. I don't think he wants to live in that world.
No bodily fluids or questionably characterized female characters.
Hey, is he getting better? I think as of right now, with no spoilers, as of where I am in Death Stranding 2, he feels like he's getting better. It feels like the woke has gotten to Kojima. I think he's fine.
Have you been introduced to the character who makes it rain, whose name is Rainy?
Yes, and they play "Raindrops Are Falling on My Head."
Yes,
when it rains. Yeah, because that's the song about rain.
I mean, talk about on the fucking nose.
Also, I was watching that scene. I'm like, I wonder if this song's expensive to put in a game. Like I know that song was like famously used in like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Yeah.
Kid, but I'm like, I wonder if the song's expensive. There's no way to know.
I guess money is no object when you're Hideo Kojima.
There you go.
Somehow.
I want to get over super chats.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You read
Wonderful.
them out. I'm coming off hoof and mouth disease.
Yeah. Bob, you got to save your voice. Listen, you got the golden voice. I can gravel myself through this. Yeah, thank you everyone who's already donated. We're cruising towards our funding goal. And as an update on funding goals, Jack and I are planning when we're going to be starting Fallout New Vegas, possibly later this week. If not, we'll definitely start it next week. But my first I guess, anything Bethesda adjacent experience will start later this week. And then we are softly locking down the date for the full day Persona stream, which will probably be August 2nd. But we'll see when that comes. So thank you all so much. Right off the bat, Raven, of course, with a $2 dono. Thank you, Raven. Raven's weekly word of the week, week 8, apposite.
Opposite, which means appropriate. And I've always thought it kind of pointless that we've got 3 words that all start with apt,
And that mean the
apposite,
same thing.
and appropriate. And they all mean the same thing. If you want a short word, you go with apt, and if you want a long word, you go with appropriate. Where is apposite's lane?
Yeah. Well, this was an apposite topic to choose this week because of the release of Death Stranding 2. Think about that.
Yes, and multiple videos on our part coming out this week, including Fully Emblematic. I don't think I mentioned yet. This week's Fully Emblematic is Death Stranding 2. Look forward to that.
Incredible. Y'all can watch it on a beach if you have a beach near you.
I was recently on a beach.
I was not. I was in the woods. I went so much hiking. My legs hurt. I don't know if my legs will ever not hurt. And then Raven back with another $5. Thank you so much, Raven. Marty, I was so lugubrious last week since you weren't here. I think a lot of people were lugubrious. All goobed up. Well, I like how Eric has these fancy little definitions that he pulls up.
I know.
And you remember,
nice. And of course you remember what lugubrious means.
Oh, sure. Sad?
Yes.
Disappointed?
Well, you could have looked at the feed there because
it was very small. I couldn't see that. It was very small.
Yes, it means sad.
There you go. Jewel Rao with the €2 dono. Thank you so much. Please don't spoil Death Stranding 2 scenes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Last week, Eric threw out some footage.
Eric. Was it an actual spoiler if it's in the trailers, though? I guess his trailers do get very spoilish.
But it was like the literal final boss fight of the game.
So, I don't blame Eric. Eric's fine. Eric was probably just thinking. Derek had Donkey Kong fever. That was his problem. He's just thinking about DK.
Again, I could describe like what happens in the final boss fight of Death Stranding 2, and none of it would mean anything to you.
It's like describing the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you're like, okay, I guess so. Beneath, thank you so much for the dono. Could Sam Lake be a We Have Kojima at Home? I would say they have similarities. They clearly have a like fondness for movies that they draw in.
He's clearly got like a strong narrative direction. I just don't think he's a very innovative gameplay designer.
No, I'd agree with that.
I mean, it's usually just third-person shooting. Whoa, slow down.
Hey, but you could float in Control. You could rip parts of the wall off.
I
think about Control a lot. Roll eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Beneath. Sussy Guru with a €5 dono. Thank you, Sussy Guru. I really hope that a clip of the influencer with Marty's head chopped on them was actually shown on the news. Omar did an incredible job of editing my video essay on Gear, where I talked about how much I enjoyed rescuing a wombat and taking it to the animal sanctuary. And Omar found an incredible news clip that was about an American in Australia who got arrested for stealing wombats and put me in that news clip. So it was wonderful.
Oh, well, there you go.
Look at that. Art imitates life, truly. Geldon with a $5 dono. Thank you, Geldon. Geldon's randomly scheduled terminology for a mixture of experts: repatriate, cafeteria bowling, and targeted team adjustments.
Okay. What's cafeteria bowling?
I don't know. Like repatriate, that's the term in
Death Stranding 2.
Come back in Death Stranding 2. I don't know what cafeteria bowling is. That's just literally like a bowling alley in a cafeteria. Confused. And targeted team adjustments, TTA. People are getting weird with their super chats. I like it. People are getting weird and I don't know what's happening.
Well,
when was the last time you bowled?
Spirit
are you a good bowler?
No, I'm a terrible bowler. I resent ever being taken there. Last time I was in a bowling alley, it was at like one of my kids' school friends was having a bowling alley birthday party.
Yeah,
I did no bowling.
sure.
I showed my eldest how to put the ball at the top of the little ramp they have for kiddies, and that was it.
I like that. Did you have the bumpers on the side? Bumper bowling?
Naturally,
Oh yeah. Apparently cafeteria bowling is a cricket term for such an easy bowl that it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for the batsman. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about cricket, even though it's like one of the world's most popular sports. I also don't know anything about soccer. I don't understand it.
well, you're American.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't understand like fucking gridiron. I don't understand why you have to pause the game every 2 seconds to argue over where the ball is now.
It is. I feel like reviews and like let's see what the computer says about this is slowing down all sports, and I hate it. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Sino's the Hedgehog, who I know is someone different, but the name is only popping up as Sino's the Hedgehog, which I think you can change on your end. Apologies. With the $2 dono, game design off between Kojima, Suda51, and Swery. Go. I mean, I would say Kojima is probably the most consistent of them.
Is this a fuck, marry, kill situation?
Oh no. I mean, that's.
I guess I'd probably fuck Suda51, marry Kojima, and kill Swery. No further elaboration.
Yeah, I think that's pretty similar. Because of Suda and Swery, Killer 7 is my favorite game of theirs, of either background. Swery, they have like a new game coming. This Hotel Barcelona is coming out in like a few weeks. Which I
hadn't heard, but you know, I know he's still active.
Yeah.
His last one was The Good Life, if I recall.
Did you like that one? Or did you play that one?
Yes, I reviewed it. I think he has fun ideas. I don't think he can design games for shit. Swery.
Sure. Feels like there should be a nice way to like team up with someone who's like, I'm not great at coming up with interesting ideas, but I'm very much like a good workman when it comes to just getting games across the finish line.
Well, maybe that's the plan with partnering up with Suda51.
There you go. Near thank you so much for the dono. Are you guys seriously having a KC without KC, a Kojima chat without KC? KC, a recent fan of Kojima's after we went through the first 4 Metal Gear games the other year.
Did he get invested?
He did, very much so. He really enjoyed them. Which I know Jamate, who's I believe played no Kojima, keeps saying that he wants to kind of start from the beginning and go all the way through. And I would definitely be fascinated with someone who kind of makes that trip in 2025 or whatever year it is. Is that KC?
Oh man. He looks so short.
It's a KC thirst trap. I like it.
Yeah.
Stirred Soul, thank you so much for a £2 dono. Not played a Kojima, but with a PC, where's a good place to start?
Oh,
Metal Gear Solid 1?
I don't know. I don't think there's any. Is that on PC?
Yeah, I think they released the Metal Gear Solid collection recently that has 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't start earlier than that. I wouldn't start with Metal Gear.
No, most people, like as we said, the majority of Kojima fans start with MGS1 because his previous games were just hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
Like Metal Gear 2 was only on the the Hujma flip. What was it called?
Like the MSX or something?
Yeah, the MSX.
Yeah. And then I know like stuff like Snatcher and Police Knots I've only played via emulation because I think like one was for a Sega CD. And how the fuck am I going to find a Sega CD? No one had one of those. And then Cinos. Oh, Alex Armstrong, thank you so much. $2 dono. Any established IP that you think Kojima could do better?
Well, I was interested to see what he was going to do with Silent Hill.
Yeah. Especially at that time when Silent Hill felt rudderless. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can't have nice things.
Yeah. Because he seems like he would have, even looking at other Konami things at the time, like I don't think he would have ever been a good fit for like a Castlevania. I think that is so like gameplay centric in my mind that I I don't know if I'd want him front and center of that, but like I would have been very interested to see what PT actually became of with Silent Hills. But maybe some of those ideas will make their way into OD. Who knows? Superb Owner, thank you so much for a $5 dono. This month on Windbreaker quotes of history quotes out of context history. I beat Elden Ring with my penis. Marty, June 24th, 2024.
Do you mean
Did I say that?
like conquered or bludgeoned when you say beat?
There's really no way to know. Apparently I said it a year ago. I think I was probably comparing it to like how, how there's always people who will be like, oh, they beat Elden Ring using a banana like tethered to with some electrodes coming out of it. I probably said something about how someone out there has beat Elden Ring with their penis.
You were probably on a riff.
I was probably goofing. Or I actually beat Elden Ring with my penis, which would be very impressive. And then Alex Armstrong again with a $2 dono. What Kojima game could Carl Pilkington do well in?
Are you sure that was Alex Armstrong?
That's Chino's the Hedgehog, who is Alex Armstrong.
Oh, okay.
See, this Google's trying to trick me, but it can't trick me.
I don't know.
Has Carl ever expressed interest in playing games? Is he still alive even?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knew who he was back when he was doing the Ricky Gervais podcast. And,
Yeah.
Then he did An Idiot Abroad, which was pretty big.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard from him lately. What's old Carl up to?
Do you think he's actually like, how much do you think he's playing it up?
Oh, well, I've listened to some of like the original podcasts where they first met. And there's a lot of it was like already there.
Sure.
But yeah, I think this after a while he was playing it up maybe 40 to 50%.
Sure. Not a lot of podcasts. Dr. Theo, thank you so much, Dr. Theo, with a $5 dono. Topic idea: items that are too good to use. What are some awesome items that you don't use just in case that final boss has a third or fourth phase? I'm sure someone's like coined a term for that, but I feel like a lot of people do that in games.
I almost never use that kind of thing. Like I've been playing like Persona X recently, and you pick up stuff like, oh, here's a potion that increases your dexterity for the next 3 fights. I was like, that. What does that mean in real terms? I don't know.
Sure. But what about when it comes to like?
I just want to know if it increases damage or it gives me health back.
Yeah. What about like when you play like a Resi game? How often do you beat a Resident Evil campaign or, with like, oh, I had a grenade launcher with a bunch of grenades in my item box that I just never touched?
See, at least from like Resident Evil 4 onwards, I've always thought Resident Evil was surprisingly good at pacing out the difficulty to make sure that they sort of corner you and force you to use like powerful stuff. Although I think there's a lot of like behind the scenes like adaptive difficulty going on. Like you collect more damaging stuff when you're short of it.
Yeah, or if you beat a boss and you have almost no ammo left, then you will very quickly find enough to be able to get you through the next area.
I found it, I remember thinking playing Resident Evil Village, I was always short on stuff, but I never ran out.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. A lot of people do that. It's like dying when you still have money to spend. I guess you could just leave it to your family, but
what the fuck do you care? You're gonna be dead.
You're gonna be dead. Don't care.
Man, you can't go on a Disney cruise when you're dead.
No,
might as well do one. Might as well do one now.
You could, but it would be that would be an incredible Weekend at Bernie's reboot. I'm here for that. Ryan Betts with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Ryan Betts. I just played Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time. I'll play 2, 3, and 4 next. Which others are worth playing? From what I understand, some are more Kojima than others. Kojima only directed the 5 numbered ones plus Peace Walker. Which was is supposed to be played between 4 and 5. It's kind of like a prelude to 5.
That was the PSP exclusive.
That was the PSP one. That was where Fultoning, where you could Pokemon your various soldiers.
Yes, it's where he introduced the whole the shift to tactical espionage strategy rather than tactical espionage action.
Yes. Yeah, there's some others, like I've never played the Acid games, which were like cards, more like card strategy games, I believe.
No, I haven't played those.
And Revengeance is fun. It's a fun, bombastic action game that's also very short. So I would recommend.
I'd say I'd recommend that more if you're into platinum style games, not so much if you like Kojima style games.
Or if you get to the end of, if you get to the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 and you're invested in the story and you're like, man, Raiden
Yes.
became a cool ninja and you want to play as said cool
Yeah.
ninja. There you go.
If you want to know what happened to Otacon after that and his adopted child, that's also covered
We'll find out.
in Revengeance.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what the next one, $2 dono from Alex Armstrong said. My favorite Kojima game is Metal Gear. It's so bad. It is truly bad shit. Also, you get to fight a senator at the end who says "Make America Great Again," and you get to kill him. So that feels nice. For no reason.
I was about to say I'd play a whole game if it was about Otacon, but then I thought about it and thought, no, I wouldn't. No, he works so well as the second banana to the action hero.
I guess would you be Otacon and Snake would be your second banana?
I'd be interested to play a game where you're playing Otacon, like who has to like do all the hacking while Snake is doing all the infiltration stuff off screen.
Sure, like a James Bond game where you play as Q.
Yeah,
like
parallel stories.
Yeah. Tsunami Doucher with a $20 dono says nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Shocked. I can't believe it. Thank you so much, Tsunami Doucher. Ryan Betts with a $5 dono. Here's $5 to make Gavel Dan the Jerk, the official Adventure is Nights Club in-house insult comic.
Oh, don't get Jack started.
But yeah, if you didn't watch, this weekend was the season 4 finale of Adventure is Nigh.
Yeah.
Tears were shed.
Who the hell knows when the next one's coming out? So, get in while the getting's good.
Watch it, voice your love for it. Yeah, just check that out. That is a thing that has an immense amount of work put into it, not only in the actual production of it from last summer, but in the editing of it, which takes almost an entire year. There you go. Ellie Berry Pie with a $5 dono. Ellie, Metal Gear Solid 2 was my first exposure to postmodernism, and it had a huge effect on how I view media and storytelling for better or worse. Later, Kojima, less so. Yeah, I would imagine a lot of people, if you were at a certain age, like that might have been the first like quote unquote meta art you ever experienced.
Yeah, I remember
certainly if you were just playing games.
They make a big thing in that game how it's a sort of retreading stuff from the first game, and then that turns out to have been the whole point, but then it wasn't really.
Mm-hmm.
And then Colonel Campbell starts saying he needs scissors.
Yeah,
it's a weird fucking game.
It's weird. It talks about the alien abduction. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ellie. Alex Armstrong again with the $2 dono. You need to repeat the last two words as a question.
As a question,
which is apparently a Japanese thing. Like
I wonder about that
because like repeat. If someone tells you something, you kind of repeat the core of it, and it's more of like a polite affirmation that you have listened and understood what they said.
I've also noticed in a lot of Japanese dialogue, not just Kojima games, the phrase "in other words" tends to come up a lot. Like people rephrase a situation and then goes, "In other words, you were always the president of Narnia," and then snap zoom into one's face.
I like it. I'm sure there's like American things like that. I guess just our obsession with guns, but that any other culture would see in media and be like, oh, that's a very American thing.
I have heard from non-English speakers that English comes across as a very hissy language because it's got a lot of sibilants.
Explain that. What do you mean hissy and sibilants?
I mean, lots of S's and C's in our words.
Oh, literally hissy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why everyone, all the English speakers, pop filters when they're recording.
There you go.
Pop those. And then Alex Armstrong with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. On your last semi-ramblomatic, yes, Sonic copies Mario Zone on occasion, but he also has city level, sky ruins, space stations, cyber bases, toy kingdoms, and a printing press garden. Colors had a literal food world.
Now that last one, the printing press garden, that was in Sonic Mania. I don't think that counts. That was like an elevated fan project.
There you go. And listen, Mario also had a food world. You went to the Luncheon Kingdom in Odyssey.
A lot of Mario games have a food world. Like Galaxy's full of like candy worlds and stuff.
I really like that. If you haven't had a chance to watch last week's Semi-Ramblematic, where Yahtzee breaks down the sort of standardized video game biomes through Mario levels and how so many games and what they mean. Watch that. It was nice.
And then everyone in the fucking chat went, "Ooh, surprised he forgot to mention ... Because
listen, that gets them in the algorithm, so that's fine.
Because I didn't mention every conceivable example of a recurring video game biome. Jesus fucking Christ!
Did you mention spooky? My favorite biome is spooky. I think I've said this before. I like spooky in a non-spooky game. I also like spooky in a spooky game.
I mentioned spooky in passing. I think most people were expressing surprise at the absence of cave and sky worlds in reference to Mario biomes.
Gotta have a sequel. That'll be in video part 2. And then Eric with a dono. Thank you, Eric. Hideo Kojima is reverse Leslie Nielsen. Leslie makes serious funny stuff. Hideo makes funny stuff. Oh, Leslie makes serious stuff funny, and Hideo makes funny stuff serious. But they also share a dick joke. Naked gun, naked snake. Was this dono good? No. I'm sorry. No.
Did you pick up on the Naked Gun reference in Metal Gear Solid 4?
No. I don't think so.
Well, there's an entire character named Drebin whose job is gun laundering. As in he makes
Frank
guns.
Drebin.
He makes guns naked.
Oh God, I did not pick that up until now.
There you go.
I feel like
he's multifaceted fellow, that Hideo Kojima.
Can't keep getting away with this. Then Alex Armstrong back. Thank you so much with the $2 dono. Marty, since you like beach levels, do you have a favorite? I've been noodling away at a script about how this is a thing I brought up about how the late 90s, early aughts video games were obsessed with beaches. I think part of it was because technology hit a point where you could show water in a very in a technically impressive way. But we had that era where we had games like Sonic Adventure 1, Mario Sunshine, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy X, a bunch of things that were kind of beach adjacent at the time.
And as well as being able to show water in a very technically impressive way, we were also able to show off the jiggling boobies of ladies in bikinis in a very technically impressive way.
I'm not saying Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball pushed technology forward, but it didn't not do that. I always have a soft spot in my mind for Mario Sunshine, even though I do not think it is anywhere near the best 3D Mario game. I do think its quote unquote vibes are probably better than any Mario game.
I have a soft spot for it, probably because it was on the GameCube, which is one of the few consoles I had when I was unemployed, poor, pre-famous early console adopter.
Sure. Well, games meant a lot. Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
There you go. Saber Lily with a $10 dono. Thank you, Saber Lily. Usada Pecora, the VTuber in Death Stranding 2, is the most popular female in the world pretty consistently. I find her genuinely entertaining. Her playthrough of Death Stranding 1 is what put her on Kojima's radar.
What a world we live in.
Yeah.
VTubers are thing. People were saying like I was the first VTuber before being hastily hushed by people saying no, of course he bloody wasn't.
It did. I feel like there is something nice about being like stupidly famous and rich, but still also being able to just walk around. I assume
I don't
know.
It's the best.
People don't know what she looks like in real life and could just wander around and not.
I know it's the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't recognize me till they hear my voice.
You got it. Your problem was you should have put on a front. This should have been your fake voice. So that you could have went on in public and been fine.
Should have talked in my terrible Irish accent.
Or you could just do that every time you go out. So there you go.
Yes.
Tsunami Doucher with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Tsunami Doucher. Speaks. Ironically, I think Kojima does better narrative work with a budget and restrictions compared to infinite resources.
Twas ever thus. Yes,
right?
Yeah. Every artist does better with restrictions. Peter Molyneux is the one I keep bringing up.
God, yeah.
Did all his best work back in 2D times when people could keep his feet on the ground.
Yeah. I feel like there's a alternate use where Kojima sort of teetered over an edge and Molyneux'd out, and that we don't speak about him anymore because he tried too many things one too many times and one too many failures.
He made an open world urinating game, and there was just too much.
There you go. Multi, thank you so much for the dono. With all of the faith you have in Kojima, do you think he would have done Silent Hill justice?
I don't want to employ a phrase like "do such and such justice." I think the Silent Hill as it existed was over. I was ready to see it move in a new direction, and that's what Kojima was probably going to do.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm fine with just borrowing an established name and just doing something new because that's the only way the publishers will let you fucking do it these days.
Yeah, he's clearly a guy who's been obsessed with horror throughout his entire career. There are horror elements of all of his games going back to Metal Gear.
Yes, remember that bit in Metal Gear Solid 3 when you fight the Sorrow?
The Sorrow, yeah, absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
I do think though that PT or Silent Hill is getting canceled. Put it in a rarefied atmosphere that it could never attain that level of like fame and love if the game ever came out. Like I think PT is kind of a perfect thing because it doesn't exist, and it will forever be cool because it is the game that almost was. Zalthus with a £5 dono. Thank you, Zalthus. Metal Gear 1 is rough, but Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake is actually legit really good. There's a huge leap between the two that gets slept on. Yeah, speaking of the original Metal Gear 1 and 2, but not Snake's Revenge, because there was a second Metal Gear game that he did not partake in, which is makes things even more confusing.
Yes, that was like the Western Metal Gear 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the leap there is even more. You can see like the crystallization of the ideas that he would to use in Metal Gear Solid. There, Geldon with a $10 dono. Thank you, Geldon. Sorry, a repatriate is a human with a power to guide his soul back to their body after being eaten by a BT in Death Stranding. I had no idea it had another definition. Kojima tricked me. Oh yeah, that's why we were thinking repatriate, because that is a term that gets used. You play a repatriate in the Death Stranding games. Was that a word outside of that?
Apparently, it's also punning on patriotism because the whole game's about bringing America back together.
Yeah. Remember when
lots
he
of layers.
Patriots guns? He loves Patriots.
Yes.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Alex Armstrong with another $2. Thank you so much. Sorry, I meant IPs he doesn't own, but that he would do better. Well, that's what we said about Silent Hill. I think that at the time he would do that better. I don't know. Give him. I'd like to see his take on a James Bond.
Is Silent Hill's the only time he's been offered an IP that wasn't his own?
That we know of. He had an executive producer credit on Lords of the Shadow 2, I think, but I think that was just like maybe he was at a point in Konami where like, sure, we'll give you this. I can't imagine he had a real creative role in there, but as far as I know, yeah. I mean, I don't know if when he left and formed Kojima Productions, if he ever took meetings with other people. I don't know if any like Hollywood IP ever came to him to ask about doing a game in X, Y, or Z universe. But yeah. Witticism with a $5 dono. Thank you, Witticism. Marty, been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth all weekend and just wanted to shout out your video. Great job describing the bizarre nostalgia of that experience. Thank you so much, Witticism. I feel I've heard of a lot of people are now finally playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for some reason, like a year and a half after it came out. But yeah, pretty good.
That is weird. What's with that?
Some people just take a little while to get the stuff. Maybe it was on sale. Maybe they got it cheap. I think it's on PC now. I don't know if it was already on PC, but yeah.
Starstruck Vagabond got quite a boost in the most recent summer sale because I dropped it down to 50 first time.
Ooh, see, at that point, you got to buy it. That's just that's an easy purchase right there. Robert Lauder, thank you so much. A £5 dono, no message. Appreciate you, Robert. Ryan Betts with a $2 dono. Thank you, Ryan. Video game auteur alignment chart podcast when? That could be interesting. The D&D alignment chart, but with video game creators.
Yeah, I know we
come in with our own. Yeah,
but I can't remember what the two axes were.
I mean, was it
one of them? It was like creative control versus no creative control. I don't know.
I like it.
See, we've got an already custom made one there.
I'm trying to look.
Who's that on?
No.
Who's that under chaotic evil? I can't read it.
Is that Bobby Kotick is on the left?
Oh,
someone with a vest is in the middle, and someone on the right. Yeah, I don't know who those bottom boys are. They're too small. Witticism. Thank you so much for it. Don't know. Shout out sibilance.
Yes. Stout out the sibilance.
Shout out sibilance. Sonamadushi said, was it narrative and pretentiousness? I think pretentiousness might have been one of our axes.
Yeah.
Do you think is Kojima pretentious?
Pretentious implies an aspiration to like a level of talent they don't actually possess.
Sure.
Like Yeek, like a postmodern RPG, is pretentious.
Yeah.
Kojima, that's a tricky one.
I feel like the word pretentious gets you. It's like clickbait, where it's a word that's kind of lost meaning because it's used so much.
A little bit. People often use it to mean just generally postmodern-y.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
artsy-fartsy, I believe, is the term Jack would use.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's sort of in his own little world. I don't think he pretends to anything but like the inside of his own head.
Yeah, and I don't think anything he's doing, despite the fact that he clearly craves the sustenance of the celebrities around him, I don't think he makes any decisions in games because he's like, I want people to think I'm smart. He feels like a guy who's pretty sure of himself.
Yeah, he does things because it's part of the expression and not because he's trying to like make himself come across any particular way.
Yeah. Look at him hanging out with Robert Pattinson. There you go. And then
Jesus Christ. Like I said, the guy's just he just attracts people like a fucking magnet.
I also think, you saw like Timothy Chalamet when they did like the Japanese press tour of some movie swung by Kojima Productions and signed his wall.
I know wasn't that always Roger Corman? Roger Corman was famously like incredibly easy to get on with.
Yeah.
That's why he like was able to make all those terrible films.
Yeah. I have to imagine there's also just an entire generation of creatives in Hollywood who grew up playing video games and probably liked playing Metal Gear and were like, oh shit, yeah, I'll meet him. Yeah, you got Keanu Reeves there. Like, yeah, makes sense. And then Robert, thank you so much for another 10-pound dono. I disagree with Yahtzee's opinion on Batman Arkham Shadow. Also, what do you think of Death Stranding 2? I think it's sort of the worse than the first one, and that is me being kind.
You just felt like you needed to express the fact that you disagree with my opinion on no further elaboration.
I don't remember watching your video on Arkham Shadow. Were you were not super fond of it?
I was broadly in favor of it. I thought it was better than the previous Arkham VR. I thought it was like a 6-piece McNugget box compared to Batman Arkham Asylum's 20-piece McNugget box.
Okay, that checks out. And if you want to know our take on Death Stranding 2, you can watch my video this morning, and you can watch Yahtzee's video that's going up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I ain't giving that shit away. That's the gold. That's the money maker.
For free. That ain't for free. And that's it. That's the end of our super chats for now.
Well, thanks for sending all your super chats. So thank you for listening to the Windbreakers podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This slightly self-indulgent Windbreakers podcast with just the two of us. I was Yahtzee Crowshaw, and that was my faithful hound, Toffee.
Oh, I thought that was going to be me. I went and gave a thumbs up, and then you said, that is my faithful hound. And I was like, oh, no.
Well, you can be my faithful hound as well if you want.
Your homunculus and your hound.
Yes, my faithful homunculus, Marty Slaver. Toffee, who, to his credit, actually said words and was awake for most of this podcast, unlike some people I could mention.
Aww.
Don't forget, there's content every day on Second Wind.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my fully ramblomatic on Death Stranding 2 this week. Also, my usual weekly stream, Yahtzee Tries, where I play a couple of indie games that same afternoon. A new semi-ram this week, because that was last week. So it'll be the Yahtzee Tries compilation video on Sunday, where we do little edited highlights of the streams with my little mini reviews of the games I'm talking about. And that's it for me this week, I think.
Hell yeah. On my front, definitely, like I mentioned earlier, I'll pop the link in there. Check out my video essay on Death Stranding 2. It is relatively spoiler-free, because I was A, not very far in the game, and B, kind of talk about it in broad terms, about how it's a game that I am enjoying, savoring very slowly. On the other front, definitely check out the Adventurers 9 season finale if you didn't on Saturday. That put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this season. So definitely watch that. And in terms of the rest of the week, stream-wise, we got Hidden Gems this evening. This will be the last one with the full crew for a couple weeks, but check that out. Tomorrow there'll be a new Rewind. I will not be on it because I just got back from holiday and didn't have a chance to see any of the movies and won't before tomorrow. But Jesse Galena will be joining Darren and Jack chatting about the new Jurassic World movie and about Superman. So tune in for that. Speaking of, Darren will also have a backdrop tomorrow morning that Jesse did a bang up job of editing on why Jurassic Park sequels always fail. So tune in for that. And then the back half of the week, stream's going to be a little wonky because Casey's going to be gone as of midweek for the rest of the month for his actual wedding, his real wedding. You guys went to, they went to the fake wedding. This is the real wedding. But like I mentioned, we should be doing... we should be starting Fallout New Vegas, if not this week, next week. And then maybe on Donkey Kong stream. Oh, also Thursday is going to be the next episode of Story. Thursday at 10 a.m. I almost said 10 p.m. That'd be a weird time to put up a video. 10 a.m. Jess and Jesse, next episode of Storycraft. It's a goodie. So tune in for that. I think that's all on our front.
I presume it's 10 p.m. somewhere in the world.
It's got to be probably the opposite side of the world. I don't know how hours work, but yeah.
Maybe down in Antarctica.
There you go.
No, wait, Antarctica is every time because that's where all the time zones intersect.
It can't be every time, though. They got to have a time. They got to have their own time. Arctic time?
Confess, I don't know how it works. I mean, I assume if you were on the South Pole, it would just be all of time simultaneously. Like the Tralfamadorians from Slaughterhouse-5.
Oh, I was going to say Dr. Manhattan. I don't read books. I only read comics.
Isn't it cute when dogs fall asleep with a little bit of tongue sticking out the front of their mouth?
Okay, Toffee. Incredibly cute.
He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it just now, but he usually does. Anyway.
Stupidly cute.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Talk to you all soon. Bye then.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging.